Recording in progress.
Hi, everybody. So we're about to get started. Just wanted to walk through the format for you. So you'll hear a few words from Administrator Whitaker, and then we'll take some questions from you in the room, and then we'll go to the reporters who are watching us virtually and take a couple of questions from there. So we'll get started. Sir, go ahead.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. In the immediate aftermath of the January 5th plug door incident, the FAA took unprecedented steps to increase the oversight of Boeing. That meant everything from more safety inspectors in the facilities to increased oversight of the production process. Importantly, we capped production of the 737 MAX until these issues are resolved. Today, in response to our request in February, Boeing provided us their roadmap for continuous improvement. We just wrapped up a 3-hour meeting to review it and talk about future implementation. We underscored that they must follow through on implementing corrective actions and transform their safety culture. This is a guide for a new way for Boeing to do business. The FAA will make sure that Boeing makes lasting changes using all the tools at their disposal. I made it clear to Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun and other senior leaders that this plan does not mark the end of our increased oversight of Boeing and its suppliers, but the beginning of the next chapter. We will not approve production increases beyond the current cap until we're satisfied. Bottom line, we will continue to make sure every airplane that comes off the line is safe and reliable, regardless of how many planes Boeing builds. We need to see a strong and unwavering commitment to safety and quality that endures over time. This is about systemic change, and there's a lot of work to be done. Our goal is to make sure that Boeing makes the necessary changes and has the right tools in place to sustain those changes. Boeing has laid out their roadmap, and now they need to execute. First and foremost, Boeing is now required to have a mandatory safety management system, which will ensure a structured, repeatable, systematic approach to identify hazards and manage risk. They have also committed to increasing employee training and communication, strengthening the anonymous reporting system that employees can use without fear of reprisal, boosting supplier oversight, making sure that things happen in the right sequence at every step of production, and getting more input from users of the system, including pilots. The FAA will provide oversight at every step of the way in this process. We certify every 737 MAX before it can be put into service, and we will continue to do so. We will also provide enhanced oversight of Boeing and its suppliers. Practically speaking, this means more safety inspectors in the Boeing and Spirit facilities, more feedback from company employees to gauge the effectiveness of change, additional inspections at critical points of the production process, and monitoring metrics to identify areas of concern. Safety is a team sport. Everyone has a role to play. Boeing must do their part, and we will be there to make sure they do that. I appreciate you being here today, and I'm happy to answer some questions. Bless you.
Can you say why this plan is not being publicized by either you or Boeing? Is it for proprietary reasons? I mean, it does have safety implications.
It's my understanding that Boeing is going to publish details about the plan and make those available. Yeah. Yeah, it's their plan. It's proprietary. We have our own plan to oversee their plan, but it's their plan. So I think they should talk to that.
Can you talk a little bit, or Alison Birchfield from Bloomberg News, can you talk a little bit more about next steps? You mentioned that they won't be able to increase beyond the current production cap until you're satisfied. What does that look like? What changes do they need to make to be able to increase rates? And then also, is there a goal or like a timeline for when that might be possible?
So there's no goal, there's no timeline. What this plan does is it includes a series of initiatives, programs for change management throughout the company. And it also includes 6 very distinctive key performance metrics that we'll be able to monitor in real time. So those 6 KPIs, as they're referred to, are really our dashboard to see how they're doing from a safety perspective. So we'll have a number of things in addition to those KPIs. We can also look at culture surveys and we'll have, of course, boots on the ground at the factory. So we'll have a real-time ability to monitor how they're doing. Hi, Pete.
I think that the flying public comes up to me a lot and asks, are Boeing airplanes safe? I'm sure they ask you the same thing. So how should the flying public feel about this announcement? And how do you feel about it?
I think the flying public should feel that we're increasing our oversight to an appropriate level with Boeing. We certify each aircraft right now coming out off of the line. So we're ensuring that those airplanes are safe. We've increased our oversight. And Boeing, on its own, has reduced capacity or production levels to make sure that they've got the resources they need. Going forward, what we're looking at is making sure they've built really robust quality management systems and safety management systems, that they're taking feedback from employees, and that the metrics that are telling us are there mistakes being made, how they're managing those mistakes, are telling us that the aircraft are safe. So I think these are good steps that'll get us where we need to be.
It does seem like a simple thing to just be able to build the airplanes right and put the bolts in. So, I mean, do you feel like this is enough to make it so that they can do the basic job of building airplanes the right way?
Well, I don't know that I would characterize it as simple, building an airplane, but the quality management system has to be robust. The training of employees has to be sufficient. And this plan is comprehensive. It takes on all those aspects. And we're just going to monitor the implementation to make sure it's effective.
Mark?
Mark Walker, the New York Times.
Mark?
What were some of the, I guess, the key parts of this plan, or things you wanted to see in this plan to be satisfied and confident that, like, with the implementation of this plan, Boeing will be headed in the right direction?
So implementation is the key word. And that's really the hard part. What we were looking for was a plan that's comprehensive, that's detailed, and that deals with the things we know need to be addressed, like quality management, a more robust safety management system, an environment where employees feel that they can speak up and raise safety issues, and better manufacturing processes. And those are all elements of the plan.
David?
Dave Sherwood from Reuters. 2 questions. First, I want to drill down a bit more on what exactly Boeing has to do to get the authority back to increase production. Did you lay out specific metrics they have to meet, and what exactly are those? And secondly, I want to ask you about the 787 and this fake test apparently, and sort of what the FAA's assessment is of that, and if there's any broader issues about the 87 or testing in general, whether Boeing's producing accurate results.
So the records question, I won't be able to comment on. It's under investigation. I will say that these steps are not just about the MAX. They're about all production for Boeing commercial aircraft. So these changes in quality management and safety management will be throughout the entire commercial scheme. And your first question was about production levels.
What do they have to do specifically to get the authority back to increase production?
So these metrics will provide us a way to monitor their health over the coming months. They're producing at a level lower than the cap. So we will watch these metrics and work with them over time to understand how these changes to the safety management system and the quality management system are progressing. And with these KPIs, we will use that as a dashboard to give us a fundamental picture of whether they're in the right zone. So if you think about your car instruments telling you if your water temperature is in the right zone, we want to see the right zone across the line to make sure that the system is actually running safely as it should.
So, but you said months, so you're not anticipating restoring that authority for months at least?
Well, we don't have a time frame, but I don't think it'll happen in the next few months. So.
Thank-
So on the issue of safety, just curious, not necessarily with Boeing, have you been reading about that in your collision at these days, the second one about 662 Street?
I am familiar with it. I've had a briefing, and we're looking into that, and we will thoroughly investigate that.
Just curious, do you have any thoughts on something to say it's an overcapacity issue here?
It's the same capacity that it's been for quite a while, but having said that, we're going to look at all the causal factors that might be involved. Thanks.
At some point, you had raised third-party oversight of Boeing as a possibility, but I don't see anything about that here today. Why not? Why have you moved away from that idea?
Well, we haven't necessarily moved away from it. What we did is we commissioned the MITRE Corporation to do a study on delegation of authority and the role of third-party oversight. And we're actually expecting the results of that study very soon, as soon as next week. And then we'll factor that into this bigger picture about how to ensure quality in the manufacture process.
Lauren, our attorney in Washington Post, you mentioned that the FAA is certifying the aircraft as they come down the line. The FAA certified the MAX that had the door blowout. So have you made any changes to that process to ensure the planes, nothing's going to fall off the plane?
We've made quite a few changes since that January 5th incident, most significantly putting a couple dozen inspectors in the facility itself. So moving from more of an audit approach to oversight to audit plus inspection. That continues, and that will continue going forward. We have a lot more folks involved in the oversight generally, and a lot more inspection points. And on Boeing's side, they have reduced production rate to allow more of the workforce to focus on the airplanes they're building.
And so when you say you put dozens more, how does that compare to what you have, the staffing you have?
So we've always had significant staffing for oversight, but it was more focused on an audit approach to oversight rather than having actual inspectors in the building. So we've changed that model from audit to audit plus, if you will, where we have inspectors as well as audit.
So is it less about just reviewing paperwork and more about hands-on?
Hands-on, and also talking to folks on the floor and getting a more accurate picture of what's happening.
Sam Sweeney with ABC, just following up on her question. So you will have inspectors physically on the airplane looking at it, and had you had this system in place before January 5th, when this plane was produced in the fall, you would have caught that?
Well, it's hard to speculate precisely, but certainly having inspectors on the floor gives us much better insight to what's actually happening on the floor. And the event of January 5th has highlighted some deficits in the quality and safety management systems at Boeing. And so we've got a pretty big focus on it, ensuring that those change before we increase production.
And you're going to meet with Boeing every week, or senior staff will meet with Boeing. One, was that the FAA's idea, or was that Boeing's idea? It seems like a lot. Do you have confidence in Boeing?
We are going to continue to have the constant engagement that we've had. So a weekly meeting is the minimum. We're going to have people on the floor virtually every day. I will continue to have quarterly meetings directly with the CEO. So the next one will be in September in Seattle. and we're going to continue that engagement. It won't change now that the plan is in place. It will continue to be an intensive engagement.
One more, Lori, and then we need to go to the questions we have online.
Can you talk about the tone of today's meeting and how it might have compared to, I know that you had earlier meetings with Dave Calhoun. Can you sort of characterize the tone today? How it might compare to earlier meetings?
I can characterize today's meeting as being very much roll up the sleeves and go into a very deep dive into the plan, various elements of the plan, how things are being measured, how they're being executed. So it was very much a working meeting that ran beyond its allotted time.
Hurry,
So
quick.
on United Airlines, there's been some confusion about what the FAA is allowing United to do in terms of increasing flights, adding pilots. Can you clarify what the status of your review is of what United can and cannot do?
Sure. So there was some confusion. I think that was on our part. I'll own that. But we are permitting them to take deliveries of aircraft. Most of those aircraft have been one-on-one replacements for existing aircraft. Some of it has been growth. They have provided us with their growth plan, and we're working with them on that growth plan going forward.
We need to go to the back. Martha, can you read out the next question, please?
Yes, this question is from Andrew Tangle. He is with the Wall Street Journal. What are the KPIs you mentioned specifically, and what are the specific criteria you're going to base your decision to lift the restrictions on 737 MAX production, and to what extent has Boeing met those criteria right now?
So the KPI, the specifics of the KPIs we'll leave to Boeing. They have created these KPIs, and I know they're planning on releasing additional information about their comprehensive plan. So we'll let them give more detail about the KPIs. We have not yet set specific metrics or numerical targets for growth, but now that we have the plan and we are seeing the outputs on the KPIs, we will follow that closely, and as we go through the next few months, we'll start to define what we expect in order to allow additional growth.
And as a follow-on question, are there any recommendations in the Safety Culture Review Report that Boeing is declining to act on, and if so, what?
Boeing has accepted all of the recommendations in that report.
Now we have Dominic Gates with the Seattle Times. His question is, what is your confidence that Boeing at this point has quality and configuration control over its suppliers?
So the quality assurance measures that are being proposed include suppliers, and they have worked extensively not just with Spirit Aerospace but other suppliers as part of that process. My confidence level is not necessarily relevant, but we will monitor that closely as we go forward to make sure they're fully in compliance.
And now we have a question from David Slotnick with the Business Insider. Can you share a few examples of specific changes as part of today's announcement? What can be done to improve the overall safety culture at Boeing?
Well, again, I can defer to Boeing to give some examples. I can say that they have given us some very specific examples of how they have encouraged more people to use their voluntary reporting system, and they're seeing a greater usage of that system, so that's progress. They have been very focused on ensuring that production is done in the proper sequence so that significant components such as the fuselage aren't shipped until they are built exactly within specification, so what they refer to as traveled work. So reducing that travel work has reduced the risk of error. So there have been concrete steps, but again, I'll leave it to Boeing to go into more detail on those.
And now we'll take a question from Leslie Joseph. She's with CNBC. How many inspectors does FAA have currently at Boeing and Spirit? How does that differ with before the pandemic? And how long do you expect those inspectors to be stationed there?
Well, we don't have precise numbers. We have a number of inspectors on the ground. We have a lot of people who are 60% devoted to Boeing, but also have other duties. So we don't have a precise number, but I will say it's a significant increase from where we were, and that increase will remain steady state going forward.
Boeing has reaffirmed their cash flow target of $10 billion in 2025 and 26, a target that assumes producing 50 737s a month. Will the FAA allow Boeing to produce 50 737s by then, or is Boeing getting ahead of the FAA?
Well, I can't comment on their cash flow targets. I can say that they have not requested relief from the cap, and we have not even had preliminary discussions on that point. So right now we're focused on these metrics and watching their performance, and we'll see when the time comes when it's time to raise that cap.
Okay, I think that's it for the questions online. One more time in the room. Anybody? Yep, David.
When you give them back the authority, assuming you do you anticipate doing it gradually, lifting the cap entirely, or sort of a slow ramp up, or something up to that effect?
Haven't really given that much thought. I think once we get down the road, we see what these KPIs look like, how they're doing on implementation. We'll make that call as it comes.
And just a quick follow-up question. The company that you said you hired to do the review on third-party oversight, what was that name?
It's MITRE. It's a federally funded research company.
Sam.
Yeah.
You met for 3 hours today. I know you said you rolled up your sleeves. And can you just give us a few more examples of what you chatted about for 3 hours? And was this a presentation? Was this a back and forth? And did you have any concerns?
So this was really Boeing's meeting to present the comprehensive plan in detail. It focused around an extensive PowerPoint presentation that broke the plan down into segments. So a lot of time spent on SMS, a lot of time spent on quality assurance, a lot of time spent on employee engagement, on training, on hiring, all the elements of the plan in some detail, how they'll be measured. So it really was a deep dive into what we had asked for, a comprehensive plan.
What surprised you the most?
No surprises.
Okay, folks, that's it. We got to go. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Recording stopped.